Hey there friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm back with a new layout for the Hip Kit Club and I'm using the 2019 February kits. This is my first layout using the new kits, and I'm also going to use one of the February subscriber exclusive cut files, this beautiful heart made up of flowers, and I'm going to wind up coloring this. So the first thing I'm going to do is just use my finger to smudge on some white gesso to cover the whole thing, so it's prepped and ready to go for some paints. And I did this after I peeled it off my cutting mat because there's so many little bits and pieces in this cut file that sometimes if I do it before I peel it up, the gesso makes it harder to punch out those little pieces. So these two papers are in the main kit and the paper kit. They're from Carta Bella and they're so pretty, and I wanted to match some of the florals in the papers. So I pulled out these really beautiful opal art alchemy paints that we get in the color kit. It's like you paint the main color down, and then when it dries there's this really pretty opal shimmer that kind of gives it a different color. Like this pink one here, it's pink, but then when it dries it's gonna have like a green shimmer to it, and then the yellow has a pink shimmer to it, and the teal has a pink shimmer to it. So it's not obvious right away, but it's after it's dry and you turn it in the light, it's so pretty. They're very, very shimmery and just something different to play with. And they are, you know, pretty thick paints. And so what I did here was I just sprayed some water down first, and then I'm just dabbing my brush into a little bit of the paint, a little bit of water, and just kind of, you know, coloring the flowers. And I'm not using any rhyme or reason here. I just wanted some pinks and some yellows, and I'm just spreading the color around, lighter in some areas, darker in some areas. I just want a base of color on the cut file here. I went to the teal one also, and these are really pretty. You could make these look pastel, you know, you could add more layers of the same color and not add any water to it, and it would look a lot darker. So it's just like any other kind of paint as far as, you know, making it look bold versus making it look really, really light. So you can kind of see what I got going here. You can already see how it's got some shimmer to it. It's still wet, but when it's dry you can really, really tell a difference. So I wanted to add some different bits of color in a couple of different areas. So I pulled out some shimmers from our past color kits over the last several months. This is Spritz Ruby, and it's kind of a darker pink with a hint of red in it. And so I'm just kind of dabbing it down. My sprayer needs to be cleaned out. It's not spraying very well. It's almost empty. So I'm just dabbing it on with the end of the nozzle and then just spraying water on top of it and letting it kind of run. And this is one we got not too long ago. This is the Pop Art Pink, and it's got a gold shimmer to it. And this is, I believe, Glorious Day. It's more of a golden yellow color. And I'm just layering different colors down. The main three colors that I'm going for are the ones that I'm using here. I just want some lights and some darks. And I think it's fun to mix and match brands and, you know, sprays with paints. And you just never know what you're going to get. I'm going to come back in with a teal paint and just keep going with it. And, you know, this cut file is very wet at this point, so I am going to wind up letting it dry at some point, and then once it's dry it's good to go. So in the meantime I'm going to start to fussy cut some flowers from this really beautiful Carta Bella paper. I believe this is called Flower Market and I got to see it at Creativation and it was just beautiful. So I didn't cut out everything. I didn't want to. Some of the flowers on there are really, really tiny. So here you can see how this is dried. You can see some of the shimmer, and it's really, really pretty. I think I'm going to use this as my background, and this is my photo. It's actually an old photo of my oldest daughter in the pool, and I had it already printed out, and I just haven't scrapped it yet. And the more I looked at it, the more I realized that it matched these colors perfectly. And the background paper is pink and creamish color stripes, and that is also from Carta Bella, and I thought it would make a pretty background. So I'm going to coat a lot of it with white gesso just to add some white to the background and to fade out some of the stripes so that flower cut file really stands up off the page. I get asked a lot, you know, when do you use clear gesso versus white gesso? This is a good example of white gesso. If you're going to use pattern paper as your background and you want to fade out some of the pattern, definitely go with white, because if I use clear, then the stripes would still be very visible. And I usually use clear mostly when I'm using a white background, because you can't see it anyway. So you can kind of see what the white does here to this pattern. And I'm going to do the same thing. I want some color behind that heart, and so I'm just spritzing down some water, dipping the brush into some of that paint. And I don't want it to be too busy, but I did want something on the background. So I'm just going back to those same colors and lightly adding it down, spritzing it with water, and letting it run and blend. And it's okay if this looks, you know, like a hot mess, which I think all backgrounds kind of look like a hot mess in the process. But a lot of this is going to get covered up with that heart, and you're just going to be able to see little bits of it peeking through the heart and maybe around the edges. And so it's okay if this is sloppy, because it's not going to look sloppy once you cover a lot of it up. So I'm splattering, I'm smudging, spraying down, just making a mess pretty much, which, you know, that's a fun thing to do when you're making a background. And I've said this a million times, but it always looks like a hot mess in this process of it. But when you let it dry and you add your photo and you add your papers and your embellishments or your cut file, whatever it is you're using, when you add it back on top of it, it totally changes the way it looks. And so, you know, don't be afraid to get messy. Like my fingers there just totally got the Spritz Ruby all over them. Something's going on with the top of my spray bottle there. So anyway, I like how that looks. I think it looks really pretty. I let most of it dry. It's not 100% dry because I did add a lot of water to it. But I did take my heat gun to it off camera just to sop up a lot of that liquid. And then I just continue to splatter, because sometimes you never know how much you have on there until you put everything back on top of it. So that's why I keep bringing the cut file back. And you can see it, when you take it off, it looks like I've done way too much. I feel like I've covered up most of this background paper. But then when I put the heart back on top of it, it doesn't look like I've done that much at all. So you just have to play around with it and kind of do what you like. And I like how that looks. The background is, you know, very subtle, peeking through there, but you can still tell the you know, the shape of the cut file. You can still tell that they're flowers, and it's not too distracting. And so I'm going to go ahead and glue that down, and now you can really see the shimmer of that opal paint. It's really, really pretty. So I'm going to use some just plain old cheap white acrylic paint, water it down a little bit to add some white splatters to this background, and then I'm going to roll my paper towels over it just to kind of dab it up. And this is just going to give it a little bit of something extra as far as, you know, detail, and it's going to lighten up some areas of it. I haven't done white splatters in a while, and I don't know, felt like adding some white splatters. Sometimes there is no reason why. It's just I felt like doing it. That's really not a good reason, I know, but sometimes you just do things when you're making a page because you felt like it at the moment, and it really doesn't make that big of a difference, and that's okay. Up close you can see faint white splatters. Okay, so my picture's going to go right there in the bottom left corner because she is looking up toward the right, and so that automatically makes me want to put my photo to the bottom left because it looks like she is looking up and above, or up and across the page. And I always like to have my subjects looking across the page or down the page, wherever it is they're looking. That helps me sort of decide my design. So all those fussy cut flowers are going to be kind of layered around the photo, some of them under the photo, some of them on top of the photo. And I really love those little deep pink ones. They are the prettiest color, and I feel like they just add a pop of darker color on this layout. So I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive foam to some of these flowers, and then I pulled out a couple of the Project Life cards that I'm going to layer underneath the photo. I love this circle here. I didn't want to mess that up or cover it up, so I cut it out because I want to use that on a different page later on. But yeah, this photo is of my oldest daughter, probably, I think it was 2013, so this was coming up 6 years ago, and I could tell it was a while ago because her teeth, you know, she's still missing some teeth and they were still growing in, and she just looks so old now compared to these pictures. And yeah, I just found it in my stack of pictures and thought, I have not scrapped that yet. It's the perfect color for this page because I've got a lot of pink and a lot of yellow, and I feel like the water in the picture really pulls that teal color together. So I pulled out some embellishments. I've got some things from Pink Fresh Studio. Oh, what's the collection that's included? Out and About, I think. And then the matching embellishments to the Carta Bella collection. And so I'm just playing around with anything that was pink, yellow, or teal, or had that deep pink color in it. And so I knew that I wanted flowers around the photo, and then I wanted to copy the same type of flowers and colors in a cluster in the upper right. And so I just played around. Nothing's glued down there yet as far as the clusters, and I'm going to wind up changing some things out. But I know I wanted some thread added in here. I added some yellow over to the left for a pop of that color, and then some pink over to the right. Joyful Day, not Out and About, Joyful Day. That's the Pink Fresh Studio collection that is in the kits this month. There's a lot of that collection, and it's so pretty. The colors are awesome. So there's some puffy stickers, there's some flowers on there, as well as some really big words that would make excellent titles, one of which I'm going to use as a title for this. So I'm going to glue down everything that's around the photo and the photo itself, because I know that that's where that's going to go. And then I'm going to play around with some of the Pink Fresh Studio stickers. I really wanted to use this round one that says love, mainly because it matched everything, and I liked the sentiment of it, because this photo is, you know, just an everyday moment, which are my favorite types of photos to scrap. But, you know, she's just having fun in the pool. I must have a million pool photos. You know, every time we go out there, I've got my camera. And so, you know, it's not a monumental event. It's just a fun day. And so I really love that there's so many sentiments in the kits this month that are just generic for everyday types of things. And so I liked that love die cut with the pink heart. I love that. I replaced that sticker with that because I like the pop of color that it gives with that deep pink color. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all that down. I've got some of the flowers, you know, that I've got over by the photo. I've got them up in that cluster, and some of them have the foam behind them. I'm going to add in this yellow chipboard sticker. That is from the Carta Bella chipboard sticker sheet. And then this one is yellow, but it's actually like a little potted plant. And I'm just going to trim off some of the pot and then wedge it under there. And so it just looks like flowers sticking out the side. I wanted to use this little piece here. This is it's kind of like a puffy sticker from crepe paper. And then I'm going to use that love sticker that I just took off. I'm going to use it over here to the left. And I also added in another little round circle yellow sticker to the left of the photo that says cutie. And then a Pink Fresh Studio sticker over to the right that's got some adhesive foam already behind it. And then some more stickers down there at the bottom that just say happy day and precious and just everyday sentiments. I'm going to make sure everything is glued down, even if it's a sticker, because anytime you use a lot of, you know, gesso and paint, things never want to stick. I did fussy cut some more of those stickers out, or not stickers, I'm sorry, flowers to stick around the page, and then I decided to just go simple with my title. I think I've used this 1,000 times as a title in my scrapbooking life. Beautiful. And it's okay, because sometimes you can just go with a simple title. And I love that these are so big. I love the font. So pretty. So I'm going to stick that down right there, and then I'm going to add my journaling, and that is it. You can see the title a little bit better there now that I've got the final photo. But I like how this turned out. I think it was fun to paint that cut file. I know Kathleen made a similar layout where she did not paint the cut file. She painted a heart behind it and then used the cut file white, and I think that looked gorgeous. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was fun to make. It was fun to get messy. Definitely try out those paints from the color kit because they are awesome. So pretty and shimmery, and that opal finish is really neat. But yeah, let me know what you think, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you check out hipkitclub.net, and I will see you next time. Have a great week.